So, Jimmy, not to move away from golf, but and certainly we need to definitely move away talking about the current situation we're in. So, during your quarantine time, what are the type of activities you enjoy doing? I mean, I'm looking at your Facebook or I'm sorry, your Instagram and seeing you catch snakes and wrangle steaks and drink good
Killed
bourbon.
the snake. Killed
Kill the
that snake.
snakes, gotcha.
I ain't wrangling. No wrangling going on here. What do I like to do? Well, I mean, we've been into the outdoors. I've got a pellet gun shooting range in my backyard. We live on 10 acres, so we've been out doing practice in that. And I take the boys fishing on the golf course. We're ready for a little warmer weather. We've got the wake boat. Go out and do some wake surfing. I've been doing projects around the house. I've been homeschooling. Nobody went to the principal's office today, so that was good. But just stuff like that. I've been learning how to shoot a recurve bow and been practicing that. And just trying to do all the stuff and enjoy the spring. We got a ranch that we go to. It's a lease down in South Texas, so we've been going down there. We cut 4 lanes the other day with a big dozer and set up feeders and just doing all kinds of stuff. So I'm trying to get a lot of this stuff done while I'm home and not just, sit around. Somebody blasted at, I got people blast on me sometimes on Instagram. They're like, you're living this luxe life while all this is going on. I'm like, I'm not doing anything. Like, I'm at home. Like, I'm not flying around a private jet. I'm not, I'm cooking food, which we all have to eat. I'm social distancing on a ranch in South Texas by ourselves on 6,000 acres. I mean, I'm just doing what everybody's telling us to do, right? So I'm just being me. I'm just trying to make the best of it, just like everybody else.
Jimmy, one of the things that I saw on social media, somebody was blasting you about killing an enormous rattlesnake, and I happen to think the world and have the privilege of teaching your oldest son, McLean, and the feedback it all the time. And I couldn't imagine somebody giving you a hard time about killing something that absolutely could corner and, hurt the kids or the animals or anything. It's unbelievable. But that was the biggest snake I've seen.
I mean, that 6-footer, my kids are out playing around, and that's the kind of stuff you really don't need hanging around where you're at. So I don't need that, and it's not like we're out looking for them. It just stuff happens. Got to deal with it.
Jimmy, are you able to take your kids deer hunting out there on your ranch?
Oh yeah, my boys. They did some good work this year. We actually during the rut, me and my buddy, we rattled in my youngest first buck. So we drive around, we'd set up, we get the horns out, and we start rattling. And I've never seen anything like it. I mean, these bucks just come running.
Now, were you on a scrape line, or were you down in the woods in the bottom by a creek, or what's it like at your ranch?
We were it's real low country, it's real flat, a lot of mesquite, wahia bush, and so the trees aren't real tall. I swear, if you can get about 15 feet up in the air, it feels like you can see the whole world. But if you're down below, you can't see anything. But we were kind of in this tree line with a little creek, and there was a road intersecting, and we just kind of parked right there on this so we could see down 2 different ways, and just start hitting those horns. And by gosh, he came right out and just stared at us. And Beckett was up in the back seat of our Jeep, and I had the gun exactly. It was just happen chance. It was pointing right where this deer came out. And I'm like, Beckett, get down here. So he jumped down in the front seat. I can't believe the deer didn't take off. He's standing there looking at us for 30 seconds.
The deer
and that was about 5 too long.
So Beckett got the deer?
Oh, he got him. Yeah. I just got my first suppressor for my rifles, and he hadn't shot it yet. And it's such a game changer with kids and stuff for their hearing and protecting their ears but it kicks a little more than those guns, all my other guns with the brakes on them. With those brakes, they're so loud and they're scary loud. But the suppressor just gives a little bit more of a pushback. Mm-hmm. And that gun can't. And I watched him. The gun doesn't really fit him, but that thing came back and he scoped his nose a little bit. I didn't know, but I watched that he was far enough away, and he was, but he just can't get that gun like rested on his shoulder very good. And that thing came back and popped him in the nose just a little bit, just left a little red mark. And we're all high-fiving, you got him, Becky, you got him, you got him. And you could hear it hit the deer, and because the suppressor's so quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And he started tearing up. And I'm like, oh, man, are you okay? Like, I thought he was bummed out about shooting the deer, and I saw his nose. I was like, oh, dude, did the gun hit you? And he's like, yeah.
Oh, man.
We're like, man, it's okay. You got that deer, dude. It's going to be all right. And,
his adrenaline was
snapped out of it. He snapped out of it real quick, and we went down there, and he, you know, he went 10 feet, and he was stoked. I mean, super stoked. First deer rattled in. I mean, that just doesn't happen to
No, it does not. Now, is that his first deer?
First deer ever.
First deer ever. Okay,
Awesome.
now what's the tradition?
Rattled in, but
Do you have any traditions out there in Texas with the first deer?
oh yeah, you got to get bloodied up. I didn't make anything. But
My dad did that to me when I had my first one, I believe, in 7th grade. And I remember going the next day to school. I was like, I killed my first deer on a Sunday, and I wore the Levi's with the blood still on my jeans. I was so proud of it.
That's awesome. Yeah, he got a little war paint. He was pretty pumped.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. You get to spend time. Those some of the best memories I had growing up was with my dad deer hunting, just driving, you know, to and from the site, whether we killed one or not. You know, it was just a time in the woods, and you know, especially.
Oh, yeah.
Are you? I mean, that's got to be a huge positive for this quarantine year. You can spend more time with your family. Do you see when you do get back to the tour and playing a lot? Is that something? Obviously, you're going to miss your family, but that's going to be a little bit of a transition there.
It is. I took the whole fall off just because, and really enjoyed my time at home with the family, and so this doesn't feel like it's anything new being here and being home. And the homeschooling's a lot different, and I've learned that teachers don't get paid enough for sure, especially you know, we're only dealing with 2, and they're dealing with 15 to 30. So you know, they're saints, and maybe we're learning a little bit more patience too this week, last few weeks.
I saw a social media post that my wife was telling me about, and one of the kids had called in and a bomb threat.
For his own school?
It wasn't coming downstairs because there was a bomb threat for homeschool.
Jeez. Hey, that's extra credit points there.
That's pretty creative. I'm not gonna lie.
That was pretty creative. Absolutely.
So, Jimmy, Brian told me about this, obviously, and I know you got a passion for it, but can you tell us about your passion for taking astronomy pictures?
Yeah, I kind of got into it and started looking at the guys that did it the best, and that's just kind of my personality. I'm like, I wonder if I could do that. And so it just kind of, once I found, somebody told me that you could do it remotely. And because every time I had to do it, I had to like drive out of town and set all my stuff up. And then it's really cool to go do that. Just get out underneath the stars and get away from it and really see what a really dark sky looks like. Not a lot of people have got to see it, but that didn't really lend itself to my job and being a husband and father and all that. So I found out that you could do it remotely, and I shipped all my stuff out to New Mexico and started shooting remotely out in New Mexico. It's all just computer driven, and roof opens and the telescope starts running. And so it's quite simple. And then I ended up moving to California, and then I ended up moving it to Chile to go look at the southern sky. So we're currently collecting data from, the other side of the planet. So the inner side of the planet.
Wait a second, Jimmy.
And
I thought you were a flat earther.
Oh, yeah. Super flat earth guy. So those guys, oh my gosh. Anyways, it's just, I really enjoyed the outside part, but I don't get to do that as much. And it's the artistic side of putting all the images together and making them look the way they look. And So it was something that I really enjoyed doing on the road, especially when the family quit traveling. It was it got me away from just laying around and watching TV. I felt like I was using my brain and working and learning something new. I always like learning stuff, whether it could be anything. You know, I started getting into long range shooting and learned how to put the gun together and, you know, do all the sight in and do all the ballistics work. And now we were out shooting elk at 800 yards, you know, out in the middle of nowhere. So, and then load my own ammo and for high precision. And so it's crazy. So whatever I do, I like to do it full blast. That's kind of it. Just go full send on it.
And what's your, all right, I know Kyle's got a question for you, but I'm just curious. So out of, you know, the deer you hunt or elk, what's your favorite meat that you like to eat?
Oh, definitely cow.
Cow. Okay. Definitely cow. Okay.
Definitely cow.
There.
The whole cow.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's not much better. I'm actually sponsored by a steak company now, and they've got some of the best meat I've ever had in my life, cow steaks. But I mean, a good whitetail backstrap done just right, medium rare, is phenomenal. And it's interesting with the whitetails and stuff. They all taste a little different. Sometimes you can get one that doesn't taste very good. And sometimes you get one like, holy cow, what have I been missing here? So, yeah.
It's definitely about what they eat. I mean, I know in South Georgia where I grew up, there was a lot of white acorns, and they'd eat corn. And when they did the corn on the season, because they would swap seed the corn and do cotton, but the corn seasons it was better. The meat tasted better.
Oh yeah. Also, just put a little bit of that sweetness in the fat, whatever fat a whitetail has, which isn't much.
No, it's not.
And that elk, I shot that elk this year and got it back, and that is some really lean meat.
Okay.
Now, are you able to do any of this cooking on the road or anything? Because I know you're able to do it a lot more now, but when you're traveling, are you able to do this?
Yeah, I think I showed. So Zach Johnson and I have roomed up quite a few times this year, and I've done basically all the cooking. And
it's a good deal for Zach.
Yeah, it's a good deal for Zach. I just make him pay for the groceries. But
that's a good deal.
You know, he's watching me do it, and he's like, I'm dumbfounded. I was like, what are you talking about? He goes, it's easy. I'm like, yeah, it's easy. It's like people just get scared. Like all you need is one good pan. And I got on the West Coast. I bought a cast iron and traveled with it for like the whole West Coast. I drove a lot, and I just take it with me. So I had a cast iron, and you'd rent a house and just go cook. I mean, I was eating out's great and all, but I just enjoy. It's another thing to do at night. You know, it takes time and prepping everything and getting it ready to go and then cooking it. What it does is it kills time. Just looking for things to do to pass the time.
Is that something I've seen a lot of interviews with other tour pros, and they mention the same thing. It's not the golf so much; it's the time management with all the time that they have. It's not like they're incredibly busy; they just have so much spare time. Other than cooking, what do you do to kill the time on the road?
Well, I mean, there's not a whole lot. I mean, I try to get into a series, watch a new TV series. My wife and I'll pick something out, and once she gets the kids down, we'll, we both got a show to watch, and so there's just stuff like that. Other than that, that's why I've got the astronomy, and I'm learning how to do something else. Like I built a computer the other day. I mean, I say built one. I didn't make the motherboard or anything or make the graphics card, but I bought all the pieces and put it together, and I was absolutely floored when I fired it up and actually turned on.
A nerd close to my heart. I respect that. I like that.
I mean, I bought all this stuff, and I was going to build a sim racing machine for me and the kids to drive fast cars on a screen, and then I ended up buying this bad to the bone virtual reality headset. So now we're sitting in the chair in the cockpit in the racing sim, and we throw the headset on. I mean, you're literally sitting in the car, and wherever you look, it feels like you're in the car. Wherever you turn your head, you see everything. When you're going 180 miles an hour in an F1 car, down the straightaway, you can actually turn your head and watch as the buildings fly by. I mean, it is absolutely phenomenal. And that's what I ended up building it for. So I've been learning and I've been reading about how to put all that together and what to, just always trying to do something new. You know what I mean?
So, Jimmy, I got a question for you. So when you're out there on tour, I imagine it's different for a lot of the players, but how do y'all, you said, Zach, do y'all rent houses and stay at houses, or how does most of the tour players do when they're traveling?
Yeah, that's what I was meaning. Sorry, I didn't say that. But yeah, we rent houses and VRBO stuff, and that's kind of what we do. And that's what I've enjoyed doing. You get 2 or 3 guys in a house and split it up, and it's way cheaper than getting your own hotel room. And so there's a lot of us that have been doing that, and I enjoy it. It makes you feel like you're not just banging around in the hotels every week.
Yeah, that would get old, being in the hotels. Not much room. That's a great idea.
Hey, Neil, I want to bounce back to the driving, because there is a story when Jimmy and I were working together years ago about a little incident where the tour players got to actually drive some cars. And let's get Jimmy to tell us about that one, because I think our listeners and viewers will find it fairly entertaining.
Yeah, the tour probably doesn't want me to talk about it, but whatever. We're off.
It's all right.
Yeah, I was at the playoffs at the BMW Championship, and they had us set up at a racetrack, and then we were out getting to drive all the BMW product, and we were out racing around this racetrack, and I'd put 30 laps on this track by myself, and then they threw a pro driver in there, and I'm trying to drive around, and it was a stick. It was a 6-speed M3, and she starts kind of yelling at me about what to do, and I'm having a hard time like concentrating. I'm like, I'm racing, I'm going fast, and I feel like I'm doing a pretty good job. And she yells at me one time, and I come out of the corner, and I forgot to let the clutch out. I mean, my brain's just not working. And I've been out hot lapping this car for 30 laps, and then we come around this other corner, and I got the car off the dirt like I had 10 other times, and off the side of the track and getting yelled at, and all of a sudden, man, we're spinning and sliding, and we're into the grass, and we're heading for the guardrail with all the tires on it. And people say like stuff happens in slow-mo. It was happening in slow-mo. Like, oh, we're sliding. There's the wall. This is probably gonna hurt. And we hit hard, and we hit hard, and we flipped up in the air, and we landed on her side. We hit on her side, flipped up in the air, car landed on her side, and then rolled to the wheels. And I'm sitting there going, wow, that was intense. And I look over, and she's like catatonic. And I'm yelling at her, are you okay? Are you okay? And her eyes are open, but she won't answer. I'm like, well, I'm getting out of the car. So I get out of the car, and I walk over to the other side and try to get her door open, and I couldn't really get it open. And then these track guys are running towards us, and they get there, and I was like, that was pretty bad, huh? And the guy doesn't even like talk. He's just shaking his head, yes. And I said, we flipped in the air, didn't we? And he's like, yes. That was the last time I tracked a car.
That's the last time probably BMW wants a sponsor.
Yeah, now I just do it in my house.
Wow.
Well, we actually, Jimmy.
And I ended up playing. I played the tournament. I think I had a couple of cracked ribs, but I ended up playing the golf tournament. I think I finished like 20th, so it wasn't too bad. I only had about 60%, but it turned out all right.
So we got a question from one of our viewers coming through, and it's somebody you may know. I don't know if they're messing with us or not. So on a scale from 1 to 10, how sauce is Lucas Porter's golf game? I don't know if you know Lucas Porter.
I do know Lucas Porter.
It might be Lucas Porter asking this question. So
it could be, or it's probably one of the Britton twins. Anyways, how soft he's a golfer. He actually hits it pretty good. I hadn't seen him in a while. Hopefully he hit his growth spurt, because he's kind of tiny. If he hit his growth spurt, he might. He was a late teenager when I'm saying this, so maybe he hit his growth spurt and picked up 2 yards, but he's getting it around.
Well, Jimmy, I cannot thank you enough for joining us today. This is Neil and I, started this podcast to talk about golf, to talk about all the special things of the sport. And I got to say, you're one of the special things of the sport. Your positive attitude, the way you've overcome adversity. I mean, it's just outstanding. I was actually able to follow you at the Arnold Palmer for a few holes with my dad, and mentioned to him that I was going to be able to speak to you today. And it's just the way you carry yourself on the golf course is something to watch at, and to find out the type of man and follow you are really just reinforces that you're one of the greats on and off the golf course. So thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
So much for being here.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys, and thanks for having me on, and continued success with you guys and the cast and all that. So.
Yeah, thank you, Jimmy.
Jimmy, thank you very, very much for today, and it's always a pleasure. And tell McLean I'll see him when we get back open, but hopefully I'll see you around the club sooner than later.
All right, that sounds good. Thank you, guys. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, Jimmy.
See you guys. Bye.
And thank you to all our viewers for joining us on the second episode of Talking Golf with BGI. Hope to see you guys in the next episode. We may have a pretty special guest joining us for that one as well. So definitely look to all the social media platforms. And if you like what you hear today, make sure to like, subscribe, look down below into the comments and see all the amazing partnerships that Barnhill Golf has with Wilson Golf and Flight Scope, and support those companies as we traverse this difficult time. So with that said, I'm Kyle Clapper. That's Neil Barnhill with us, and Brian Gathright, and that was Jimmy Walker. Thanks again, and take care, guys.